popular commission, like.
It's very heavy, very
Yeah,
heavy,
it's
very
just
complicated.
very- I wouldn't say complicated, it's very detailed, like a lot of like. Just a lot of like, you have to be checking fine details of stuff, like people submit a zoning application and it's got like. Surveys with like, you know, descriptions of the lot line.
Yeah.
Like you have to make sure that things match up.
Right,
and
right.
It's just, it's very detailed, so I'm honestly kind of glad I'm just small. So I'm gonna stay informed enough in case I need to fill in here to this.
All right, guys, this is gonna be very informal, I'm gonna make sure the mics are on so people can hear us and turn them around, because this all has to be. If anybody joins online, they have to be able to hear us.
Grab the mic and put it on.
Yep.
Tables.
You're in the hot seat, Keith.
Been there before.
Yeah.
But I'm Keith Campbell. I think I've seen it on DZA.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was just getting ready to do. I was gonna go introductions, but you guys have already handled all of that. I just wanted to go over a couple of things before we get started in anything. Due to the fact that Strategic Planning Committee was one of the main reasons that we had formed this committee. And the fact that it has now disbanded. We're not gonna have as much communications at this point in time as what we originally had thought. So, I know Molly had asked about emails and stuff like that because she had handled it for strategic planning, but now that that's no longer there, how we might want to go forward with doing the email list and the emails and stuff, because it might not be appropriate for her to continue with that, but Molly is now on our zoning commission. And since the overlays and stuff are being handled through the zoning commission and the zoning department, it may now be appropriate again, so we need to.
Talk through that.
Yeah, so that's kind of my loop around that if she's still willing to do it, I think it's still appropriate because she's on zoning commission, so we would have to see where we stand with that. Also, we're not gonna probably have near as many meetings as what we initially thought because of this being less of a demand on what we're gonna need to do. The newsletter typically went out once a year. I was the one responsible for it because of being the assistant administrator with the trustees. So everything that we don't have an employee or a staff person to handle, I handle. So that took me to the newsletter. So we were doing it once a year. Previously, I would say probably from what I gather, like 4 or 5 years ago, it had been twice a year. I would like to at least do twice a year. Since we have this committee now, I don't see there's a reason why we couldn't do twice a year. At least be our goal to start. If we determine there's enough information to move it up to quarterly, then we can, you know, grow it to quarterly. I don't know what kind of communications that we may have to share other than overlay information that the zoning's working on with our planner and the stuff, you know, just the regular stuff updates from our departments. So I was off work for 2 weeks, so I wanted to have this meeting today to kind of get back in the loop, back on the swing of things, so we can just kind of get this, because I would really like to get this done within the next 2 weeks and get it out. With that being said, no, we don't have my write-up for this yet. Because I'm a procrastinator as much as I am a go-getter, so you know. I wanted. So how does that sound to everybody, what I'm saying? I talked to the trustees about this, and they definitely are all for us keeping the committee going.
Okay.
Even though we don't have the amount of communications we thought we were gonna have.
Okay.
But we don't know if it'll grow into that, and we want to keep our residents informed.
Yes.
So we think that maybe just moving forward, that we really do want to keep this going. It may be a lot less right now. And grow into something more. We're not sure what the future holds.
And I think even if there's not a lot of like townships development specific stuff to put in a newsletter, we can find educational things to put in there or just fun features highlighting different things in the community. To definitely at least this like twice a year newsletter, and if we're able.
Oh,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
absolutely.
I think we should be able to find things, even, you know. Things that may be happening in neighboring communities that might come right up and have some sort of impact on us. I think that is things that we need to share. Last year on the roads section of the newsletter, I couldn't get anything from our maintenance department for roads. They did a little excerpt from maintenance stuff, but roads, I went to Delaware County Engineers website and all their construction stuff they had going on, I put that in there. And I try to keep that on the website as much as I can keep it updated. Because yes, I get to do the website too. So I think stuff like that is important. I got an email yesterday afternoon from the engineer's office letting me know that 3637 at 71 is going to be closed later today and into tomorrow morning because they're setting the new pillars for the bridge that they're reworking and stuff. And that, for any of even our residents, travel to Delaware, that may be vital information for them to get back and forth to work if they work third shift or whatever, because it happens overnight and evening hours. They try to do it after rush hour through to before rush hour, but we have people that work second and third shift that may impact. So that kind of information is good to get out there, even if it's only for a 12-hour period or whatever. It's good for them to know so they can reroute. So those kind of things I try to throw in there as well. As we all know, we got a roundabout going in up here. It's going to be closed for 40 days. It's closing according to the signs Monday. And I know our maintenance department's going out and putting up road closure signs and stuff in coordination with that. And they have to have them done by Friday. So that kind of information is always good to try to keep out there. That's things that I try to put out on the website or on our Facebook page. Want to keep it in our newsletter when we have the whole list from the engineer's office as an example of things that we keep updated. The zoning obviously is very important to keep updated because that seems to be something that has most people's interest is what they can or cannot do within Harlem Township on their own properties.
Sure.
And so that's important. The fiscal officer is wanting to give more detailed fiscal information. She's been wanting to do that for a couple of years. She had talked to me about it. It's probably been 2 years ago, but it has not been something that has been able to get into place up to this point. We're hoping that here within the next few weeks that we'll be able to get a new page linked on our website.
Okay.
To put the fiscal information on and to get some of this additional information. And I don't remember what all she put in on the email, but I know that she's wanting to expand on what she has transparent to the residents because it makes it
Yeah, I
better.
think that's a good idea, because like I have no idea like what even the ballpark budget of the township, like
right,
it's like that information isn't, I mean, I know it's public record and stuff, you could.
but it's not readily
it's not readily
available.
Yes.
Yeah, and it should be.
Mhm.
It should be. It's not a big secret, but trying to, I would like to see what our budget is. Well, you need to do a records request. It's
Yeah.
public record. You shouldn't have to do a records request for something like that. And she wants to keep it as simple as possible and have it out there for people.
Mhm.
She doesn't want to mandate that you have to do a records request just because we haven't had the availability to put it out.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think
Yeah.
that'll be a good step.
Yeah.
To transparency as well.
So, the fire department, they turned in. So we have fiscal turned in their stuff, roads and maintenance turned in theirs, parks department turned in theirs. zoning commission turned in theirs and Division of Fire turned in theirs. Is that correct? Is that what you guys have?
Yes.
Okay, so we are waiting on a write-up from the trustees, which in their defense, they've been slammed here the last month. So they haven't, but I know I can get a write-up hopefully in the next day or two, but I know I can get a write-up pretty quick. All I have to do is say, hey, Carl, have Sue write it, because, and then you can edit it and, you know, you can talk it, she can type it for all I care. I mean, you know, his wife is really good at being his left or right hand, whatever he needs at the moment. So I'm sure he can yeah, and then Dave can get us whatever he wants put in there and make sure.
Do we know if, I know they had that meeting on Monday to discuss resumes for like whoever put in for the new trustee. Will that be now, will that appointment happen before the newsletter would need to go out or no?
Yes, it's
Okay.
that they have 30 days from the day of the resignation to appoint a new trustee. So it has to be completed by our May 15th meeting.
So then that we will be able to then include it in the.
Potentially, we would have that potentially, because I want to have this to the printers no later than the 15th.
Okay.
So we should have that information. They're doing second interviews tonight at 7. So we should have that information to add to the newsletter. I don't know that they may make an appointment tonight for all I know. I have no.
Yeah.
No, you know, I was,
But at least it sounds like that timeline will fit with trying to get that. into the-
yes, because the last
That's a
couple.
big question people are gonna have.
Oh, it is. It's a
Yeah.
very big question. Everybody's very concerned about that. Everybody's very concerned about where we go from here with protecting our township. So those are two big topics that we want to make sure we have information in there on. So that's, I'm waiting for where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Type of write-up from the zoning department itself. I think Jim and Mike should be able to get that to me in the next day or two as well, as long as I, you know, maybe request it again from them because they need reminding. I just mentioned it to,
So I just looked at.
You
Did not receive an email,
because I sent it out on the 26th
and, I mean, did you send it, like,
and I
you sent
remind,
it to the township email or to my first one? No, it's from the township email, I don't see it.
and I would have to go back and look at the list. Hello, Mr. Ian.
Can we come in here real quick, just look at carpet,
What do you,
carpet cleaning, she just,
oh, to get an estimate for us? Yeah, awesome. There's a stain right over here. Sorry, well, I'm gonna invade your spot.
Oh, yeah, here.
Yeah, right here, there's a stain that we really want to get,
Okay,
I don't know if it was coffee, pop, one of the above. It was a spill from a cup.
okay.
So, thank you, Ian, for bringing her in.
yeah, no problem.
And did you take her upstairs to see?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the 2 offices back here as well?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so that would be, any place that's carpeted like that would be what we're looking at doing.
Okay, yeah, my machines are made for this type of carpet, so it should work.
Oh, perfect. And who are you with?
My own B&G carpet cleaning.
B&G Carpeting, okay, yeah, perfect. Perfect, yes, we're looking at getting quotes so the trustees can make a decision on which direction they would like to go, because these carpets have not been cleaned since they were installed in 2020. And we've done some remodeling and, you know, have had a couple things go on that we really find it necessary to get them cleaned.
Oh, yeah, they're
Plus
definitely,
spills.
yes, they definitely need clean.
Yeah, all right, thank you so much.
So, thank you so much, have a good day.
Uh-huh. Okay, so
We left off on the zoning department, we'll be doing a write-up.
yes, I had talked to Keith when he first got here, and apparently he didn't get the email requesting the BZA write-up. So we need, I know Keith's always pretty good about getting us, once he knows, he's always, if he knows, once he knows, he's always really good about getting us stuff. And since he's here, if you could, I know you probably are really busy and have a lot of other stuff to do, but if you could have something from BZA.
If I get it to you this end of the week.
Okay, that'll be awesome. Strategic planning, we're taking off the list because, I don't know if, somebody that was on strategic planning might want to do a brief, I've got the last set of minutes where they voted and what went into that decision. If, and I don't want to impose on Molly, but to maybe put a real brief summary as to the disbanding of the strategic planning committee.
And, yeah, I could put something together, and I guess it's up to the trustees, like what. I probably would keep it very high level,
Right,
but
I would-
if
I
the
would-
trustees want something like that, I can put something together and
Well-
put it your way.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna put it all together. But this is how it always has worked in the past. I get the write-ups from each department or whoever I request it from. I put it in the layout. I submit it to the trustees for their review. If they want to change, edit, add, delete, whatever, move it around on the page to it, then they give me their input.
Okay.
And then I take care of it. It always goes through the trustees last before the final approval to go to the
Okay.
printers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Alright, in that case, I'll write something together high level, get it over to Lindsay to include in the first draft that gets submitted to the trustees. And if they want anything, if they want to remove it, add more detail, remove detail, change it however they see fit, then.
Right. We also had on here to get something about infrastructure. I don't know that we're actually going to do unless, because I think that will be covered under our zoning department and our roads and maintenance.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna take out that section for now. If it grows into something futuristically, that we may add a separate section on that. Back in.
The only thing we might want to cover though is the AEP transmission lines. Cause those are moving forward and they have been submitted to PUCO and whatever, and that I would consider as part of infrastructure. And I think.
Yes, and I was thinking that that would be covered under zoning, but if we want to do a separate section for, because, and the only
I see it
reason,
more as infrastructure than zoning, like it really doesn't have anything to do with zoning.
well, other than the fact that he fields all the calls and everything on it. No,
Oh, well, okay,
his department handles it through,
that's because we don't have a separate infrastructure department.
which is the wearing of multiple hats.
Yeah,
That's where he
yeah.
covers things and I cover things that
Mhm.
we typically, maybe if there was a larger staff, wouldn't necessarily cover.
And
So-
if it would be helpful if zoning provides AEP infrastructure or AEP transmission line update.
Mhm.
If it's pretty important and stands out, maybe I could put like a subheading on it. So you read about the zoning and then you're like, oh, this is like a standout about that specific. So we
Yeah.
could for the layout.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can play with the.
And-
settings stuff, yeah.
That sounds good.
But I think at least there are a couple infrastructure related things that probably
Okay.
do need to be included.
Okay, so we'll leave that and go ahead and add those in. Cemetery, once again, I'm gonna have to cover that right up along with the administration write up, which I didn't put administration on this list. Somehow I forgot about me. Normally I do a little excerpt or something.
Mhm.
But the cemetery I'm gonna have to do because typically we have Dave Jackson who does roads and maintenance. Carl handles facilities and various other, he usually handles a lot of like he was the trustee appointed to be the liaison to the other trustees on strategic planning or on, there's different on electrical things because he's an electrician by trade, a commercial electrician by trade. And Jerry Paul had handled the cemeteries. Well, when he had trained me on the cemeteries before he retired, because we also knew we were gonna have to train the new trustee on cemeteries. Well, then with the resignation of trustee Yeager, that has fallen 100% on me instead of just 50%. So I will try to get a write-up on what we're looking at doing at cemeteries. Our maintenance department actually is going through some transitions. We had our maintenance supervisor retired first of the year. We hired a new person he's in his probationary field or period. He's not named supervisor yet because he's in probation. It is our goal that he will be promoted to that once he makes through his probationary period, if he, meets all of our guidelines and qualifications and everything that we've got set out and if he performs up to the task. So with that being said, we had updated our job descriptions for the maintenance department to encompass cemeteries. So, the laying out of grave sites, the digging of the grave sites, the, what they call the closing of the grave sites after a funeral. They've always done the mowing and weed eating type stuff. They've always let us know if headstones were, had fallen over, or, if something had happened, and we'd get those repaired and replaced or whatever needed to be done. But, they're going to start laying out, for footers pretty much all encompassing everything, that instead of having subcontractors handling all these things, or having a trustee having to be at a cemetery for 9 hours to lay out foundations to get the footers put in for monuments or whatever. This is going to be part of the paid job that our maintenance department does, because they, especially not so much in the summer with all the mowing that they have to do, but especially the other seasons, they do have the availability to step in and take care of that responsibility for the township, especially with the township growing and stuff. It's going to be something they need to do. So that is kind of getting moved over to there. So that might be something that we write up that, that our maintenance department, we're looking at getting new fencing put along the road and cleaning up that, because they got chain link and it's rusted and it's all overgrown with weeds and it just looks kind of unappealing.
Yeah.
So we're looking at getting pricing for that kind of stuff at the cemetery. Just different things like that we can update on the cemetery section. So I'll be getting something together on that as well. And now you see how much of this is I can get this together, and I can get this together, and I can get this together. And this is why we have a committee to help with the newsletter. Then we had the idea of an employee spotlight nomination type thing. Typically in the past, if we had a new hire, we would just, post a picture, quick little bio, something about them, welcome to Harlem Township type thing for new employees. So I think keeping with that model, Jason Andrus is the maintenance person that we just hired upon Bart's retirement. So I think we're gonna put a quick little excerpt on him. It may be the same thing that I end up putting on our website, because we don't have any bios for the maintenance department on website right now, because these men do not like to write bios. It's it's not just the men, some of the girls don't like to do it either, just, so anyway,
On the little excerpt that was from the last newsletter that has like a little headshot and then new employee news. Do you think it would be appropriate? Obviously, we'll have a new trustee to announce with the picture. And then do you think it'd be appropriate? I'm thinking about how much space that was last newsletter, that has there already been a goodbye and thank you to our maintenance supervisor who is retired, and then underneath introducing Jason? If that could fill that section.
Here's what I would like to see somewhere in this newsletter. I would like to see a section that thanks Jerry Paul for all of his years in service to Harlem Township for 40 years. Okay,
Wow.
yeah, 40 years. He became a trustee while my dad was still trustee. My dad was trustee for 20 years. And due to time restraints and, different things, there was a whole lot that went into it, but dad stepped out. And that's when Dave Jackson became trustee. So, and Dave Jackson's on his 27th year this year, but I think Jerry Paul needs to be thanked for all of his time and all of his service with Harlem Township, all of his dedication, all of his work that he's done, whatever, if somebody, and I don't care who, wants to reach out to him and ask him, like do a little interview with him to get highlights. That would be something nice for somebody who might want to get involved. You want to do it?
Yay.
And your name was Denise?
Darlene.
Darlene. Oh, sorry. I am so bad with names.
You got the first letter right, that's.
Yeah.
Well, I got her last name.
Yeah, I can
That's
do
all.
that.
That would be great.
My other question, do you ever reach out to other community members and get interviews from them or?
Not
spotlight?
typically.
And then the garden club and the hair, like, do you do updates on those?
Well,
clubs, or-
here's the thing, the garden club is not,
Oh, yeah.
the garden club, the civic association, HTH, those groups are not. They are Harlem Township Garden Club, they are Harlem Township Civic Association and Harlem Township Heritage. However, they are not part of the government of Harlem Township. We have no ruling authority over them. They just use the name as a, and if somebody wants to put a little excerpt in there, that's fine, but it is not part of our township offices or township departments or township. But Harlem Township Heritage was founded for the purpose of doing fundraising and keeping our heritage around. So we could have free community activities for our residents, such as the chicken noodle dinner's donation, but they do that as a fundraiser, so they could have a free to the community Harlem Township Day. It used to be, it used to be Friday evening through Sunday. It used to be about a full 48 hours, 2 days, but I don't know the first year they did it. The first year I know they did it was 2010, but it may have been 2009 was the first year they did it. But it is a wonderful thing that they do for our community. They are in desperate need of volunteers to help them do this. So if we could talk to, and I think they meet on the third Thursday and they come in here and they may meet at 7 or 7:30, something like that. And if somebody would come there and maybe talk to the different members, I'm technically a member of HTH. I don't have time to go to the meetings anymore since I took this job. So
7:30. I was.
It's
or is that
7:30?
wait, 7.
yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 7 or 7:30. It's been a while since I've been there.
I was just wondering, it would help kind of advertise their stuff too.
Well, and I put out on the website, calling to service or, calling all residents who might want to help or volunteer. I've done this a couple of times and I put out there for the different groups. They didn't like it. So you have to be very careful how we present it to them.
I was just thinking maybe you spotlight one of the groups.
Yeah, I think we can do a small write-up if there's room for all three, for the Civic Association, the
Yeah.
Garden Club and HTH. And then if they tell us. If we go into one of their meetings and say, hey, we would like to add something in the newsletter about what you're doing and what you're about. Do you want more volunteers? Do you want this or what, whatever? And if they want to grow their group and they say, yes, please, then I think we do it. If they're really kind of standoffish and don't really want the publicity or don't want, whatever, I think we gauge it on what they want.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think that makes sense, and, if any of those groups do want, even if it's just something short, like, hey, this group exists and they meet on this day
Yeah.
and
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking at the layout that we had on the last newsletter, since it doesn't seem like there's gonna be, because that infrastructure
It was a whole
was a
page.
whole page.
yeah,
So this would be a perfect opportunity if these three groups wanted to, spotlight the farmers market, spotlight Harlem Township
Yes.
Community Day, if we could
I
ask
think
them.
we could put their
fill that.
calendar of events or calendar of meetings in there. I think last year we had 2 full pages for strategic planning because it was a 6-page newsletter instead of a 4-page, which is what we typically have done in the past. So we may have a lot of room if we stay with 6 pages
Mhm.
to put some of this other information in there.
That'd be great.
And I know I sent you two, the layout of, and I know Molly had it from last year because she got it.
I got the printout.
There you go, yeah. There are copies of it for the printed copy out here at the door from last year, so if you wanna see, if you want a copy of it to see what we're looking at, you can grab one out here at the door. And it is on our website.
I think I've seen on the website.
Okay. I try to do it in both forms. Recently, there's been residents ask about, well, what about residents that don't have access to the internet? Well, we do have paper copies here. We do regular mail and we do email. That's how we try to get it out, we have it on the website. So
It's lost internet.
that happens here periodically.
We lost the amount here now.
Yeah, set them offline.
Alan, I didn't know anybody was on there. I'm glad you're with us today.
Okay, I will get that, ASAP, it sounds like.
Yeah, the
Are you
sooner-
talking about Jerry's
Jerry,
interview?
yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you could, I don't know anything about his availabilities or anything, but, I don't know if you know him and can reach out to.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
reach out to him directly.
Okay, perfect. So,
Would you like me to email these groups and ask if they would like to be included, or do you think it's better to talk to somebody like at one of their public meetings? Granted, that might not be
HTA
before.
would be easier at one of their meetings,
Okay.
but that may not happen before our thing. So
Get
um,
email.
Karen McKisson would probably be the initial contact. I know she's been trying to call me today. So maybe, I don't know if she could make a decision if she thinks it would be a good idea. Roger Nybarger, last I knew, was the chairman. I don't know if he still is, but I think he
is.
is, yeah.
Even if Karen wouldn't be the one to make any kind of final decision on it, she would know who would. do
She would get a hold of Roger or whoever and.
I just learned all this at the noodle dinner.
Oh, great.
Yeah, yeah. So that kind of would get us rolling on that. I mean, we've got what, a week and a half maybe to get it kind of
Polished.
polished up and put together, and we've got several items already that we could, that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit.
What did you think about the highlighting the little pantry thing in the parks?
Oh, I think that's a great idea. I think I
With the picture.
Yeah.
Was it Harlem Township Heritage that put that in there, or did the township put that in there? Do you know?
I really don't know.
I think it was between the Heritage Group and the Parks Committee,
Okay, maybe a joint effort.
I think.
Okay.
I think, Harlem Township Community Facebook page had a write-up on it.
Yes.
So if you, I mean, it might be just easy for us to go on to the Facebook page and use some of what they had posted about it and some of the comments and stuff, and use that for our write-up and put in there. Because I thought that was a great idea, and I thought I responded to you on it, that I thought it was a great idea.
I
but-
just wanted, we hadn't got around to it.
Yeah,
since
no,
were
we
talking
had,
about
but that's a great
heritage.
idea.
Pictures look really nice too, so like there's a picture.
Yeah, which they put a picture on.
Yeah.
Um,
And then they put in the comments, there was one with it nice and full.
yeah, so that's
I
great.
might want to use that photo.
Yeah, well, we could use
Or
both.
both.
Uh-huh.
We could use both because, hey, let's not forget that we still have community members that use this, as you can see, and it's so
Yeah.
great when it gets refilled or something, however you want to write it up.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's great to have it both aspects.
And for that matter, there's also one of those little like free library things.
Yes,
They're
the
great.
little- yes, and that
So
should
maybe
go
we can,
under.
maybe we can grab a picture of that too and include it.
Yes.
Hey, we have this little free library in this pantry.
Yeah, don't forget about our, whatever they call those little libraries. I don't know. I call it grab and go. The little grab and go library. You bring one, take one
Yeah,
type thing.
I think it's a national organization
Mhm.
called Little Free Library.
Something like
It's-
that. Yeah.
It's a national, yeah.
And,
I'm happy to pull out here on my way home and snap a picture.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
I have recycling to drop off anyway.
I have a terrible phone, but.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a cute feature and very like, a positive state
Yes,
to highlight.
That's the one thing that I would like to really focus on and start doing on the newsletter. Our newsletters are all about the business.
Yeah.
And after a while, it gets very mundane, very dry, very, it's informative.
Mhm.
And our Facebook page is kind of the same way. It's very mundane and dry. It's all about the business. Sometimes it's nice, and which is when I do my section from the administration, I try to make it a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more snappy, a little bit more something, because we need to keep the attention of the residents. Plus, there are a lot of things that happen in our community that isn't really highlighted by all about the business.
Yeah.
So anything that we can do, I mean, even there's Little League that plays baseball over at our park
Mhm.
Oh,
2 times a week, or I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're over there playing baseball. Come out and watch them play ball.
Yeah.
The farmers market's a great thing to put in there. Come out and enjoy our farmers market. There's probably residents that don't realize we have a farmers market.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
those
just
kind of
started.
activities, but but whoever is in charge of those, that's what I was talking about too, is highlighting those.
Yeah.
Be
To
wonderful.
get more community involved.
Yeah, Harlem Township Heritage is in charge of the activities, and they give me their calendar of events to put on our calendar.
Mhm.
but they have a separate website page,
Oh, okay.
Harlem Township Heritage,
Right, okay.
that it's nothing fancy, but it's informative. It has their calendar events. You can always go on there, pull things up. We can pull things, email it to each, like in a group email. And if we're like, yeah, let's put this in, then,
Then they don't have to write it up.
Right.
Yeah. That's a
right.
good idea how to.
And it
approach
really just, it puts more information out there, but it's not a burden for anybody to try to write something up.
Yeah.
Because it's, we've got it from this group. If the group says, yeah, put something in there for us, then we can use
Right.
their Facebook, their website, whatever to pull stuff, so they don't have to write something and submit it to us.
Mhm.
Parks Department, I usually say, hey, guys, I got these pictures because I was over there at the. And I want to do this write-up. What do you think? And they're like, oh, yeah, that works. And
Yeah.
I use, the last 2 years, I've done the write-up for the parks.
Yeah.
We got
Because,
new benches.
yeah, and we had a resident and her husband generously donate a recycling trash container. It was not cheap. I mean,
Wow.
it's a really nice recycle. We got new picnic tables that were ADA compliant within the last year. So those are things that we would want to highlight in our Parks Department.
Okay.
If I remember right, last year, the new tables were mentioned because they were like on the.
They were on the
Yeah, they weren't
agenda.
installed
They
yet,
didn't
but-
come in until August or September.
Yeah,
And then they had to be assembled and, put out there, but that was,
that was a big improvement though, because those tables under that pavilion were,
were bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were in rough shape. And, so,
Great.
Yeah, I know the Harlem Township Heritage sends out emails, I get, I'm under emailing.
yeah, me too. Mhm.
It could be good, if they, I pull something from their website and say, would you like to include this, then we could say also to keep in touch. Subscribe to their emails and
Yeah.
visit their website.
Yeah, subscribe to their email, visit their website. They have a Facebook page. I mean, we can kind of prompt their stuff too. I know every time I put their events on our calendar, or I highlight it in our news updates, or I put it on the sign, I get an email from somebody in HTH thanking me.
That's
So I know that they do appreciate getting the information on the events out there. So yeah, anything that, I'm sure they will be very grateful for anything we could do to help them.
And then if there is still even a little bit more room, since we have 6 pages. Even things like explaining, if you'd like to keep in touch with our public meetings, here's the Harlem Township Government Facebook page. If you'd like to keep in touch with the community, here's the Harlem Township Community Facebook page. Just thinking of like small filler things, if there's still like little corners of room, we can highlight small stuff like that, just to make sure we have every inch
I mean,
filled.
We have to be careful on, we can definitely support any of the township official stuff. We have to be careful, like the Harlem Township Community Facebook page,
Mhm.
that's ran by a private individual.
Oh, okay.
And we never know what's gonna go on there. It doesn't come through us. It has no affiliation with us at all. So, that kind of stuff, we have to be careful.
which
Good to
actually
know.
does seem to cause confusion sometimes.
It does.
There are,
Yeah.
I've had to clarify to a few people who assumed that it was something that was affiliated with the township administration.
Mhm.
When
Yes.
in fact, it's not. So-
Yes, so we have to be careful on, websites, Facebook pages, stuff like that. Harlem Township Heritage is not an official township group. However, if we're just highlighting their events and, their meetings, day and times, or something like that, that's
Pretty
Um,
fact-based.
that's
Very
fact based,
so-
yes. And so, it's very important if we do put anything about, if you want. Resident input from the township, go to Harlem Township Community. This is not a township official web or Facebook page. So there has to be some sort of
Like a
display.
disclaimer.
Yeah,
Good to know.
yeah, something like that, because there is a lot of confusion with that,
Mhm.
and we have to be very careful, because yes, like Molly said, I've had to go back and say, actually, that's not a
Mhm.
township Facebook page, so that's just the opinions of a resident, or
Yeah.
that's just, whatever. So
Mhm.
there are a couple other Facebook pages out there that's like Harlem Township whatever.
Yeah.
And they are not affiliated with us at all. It's just people who's created Facebook pages.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is okay. I mean, they can.
Yeah, that community was nice.
Yeah.
Always put flowers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she does, I think I know who runs it. But the person that runs it always does like fun little,
Yeah.
trivia quizzes.
Yeah, she does
and-
historical facts.
Yeah, I love that. And there was a time that I was like really bored, so I was like looking forward to our trivia quiz. I was like, oh, I know the answer to this one. And she's like, "Me too."
You know, of most questions I didn't know, but then there was one, I was like, oh, I know this one.
Yeah, yeah, so it was really fun.
What site's that?
It's a Facebook page called Harlem Township Community.
Uh-huh.
It's got
I haven't seen
a
that.
yellow picture.
It was created by Vicky Tisch. And once she passed, I believe her daughter took it over. I do not know if her daughter still does it or not, or
I
if
think she does.
I think she does too, but I knew she had said at one time that she was hoping to pass the baton to somebody that had more time for it. But I think it, you know, like many things that our parents have done before us for this community, we kind of like, you know, honoring their legacy and keeping it going, so.
So going past content, my biggest concern is. How many people I've heard complain, why I did not get the newsletter in the mail?
Last year we had none.
Hey, there we go.
No,
Last year we had none. The year before was the first year I did it. I went off the list, the mailing list from the year before that. And we got a lot of people saying, well, I lived here and then I moved here and I didn't get a newsletter. And I'm like, it's because we went off the old mailing list. So Molly and the strategic planning.
Generate that, I mean, we can go from. I mean, where do you get that from the auditor's website or someplace?
Yeah,
So I've gotten before that created a lot of the problem. There was two lists that was combined. One was our registered voters and one was the auditors for property owners. So anybody who was not registered to vote and anybody who was not a property owner technically didn't get it. Or in the case of one person I know, they lived at one house, moved to another house next door, and the auditor's website or the voter registration had been updated yet, so they didn't get one. So it created some problems that way, but strategic planning, one of the great things that
But-
committee did.
As I have a thing here, this is the LLC owns property. And so how does that get figured out?
If an LLC owns a property and the property's been actually put in the LLC, it has to update on the auditor's website. But like say, just for instance, like say your property and it goes from you to an LLC, but you're still living there, you'll still get the mail.
Yeah, it
The
goes- it
LLC
goes
doesn't need to
with,
get
like,
the
Yeah,
mailing address.
because it's true, because as registered voter would be that would show up there,
Mhm.
because we just put the property in trust, and now technically. When my daughter owns it.
Yeah.
She's the trustee.
Right.
And, you know,
Her address is
it
in
gets-
Columbus, you know.
it gets addressed to like the owner, like, or current resident.
yeah,
Is how it's
So-
addressed, and then it has the mailing address, and I think what you were trying to get to, Kendra, is that the SPC, we actually. I think it was Crossroads Community Planning did a lot of legwork to clean up that list. Like,
Yes.
they pulled all the records from the county auditor and voting records and compiled them and
Yes.
cleaned it up. And did a lot of work to like,
It
correct
takes-
things that
it
were
takes a lot of
wrong.
work to figure that out,
Yeah.
I'm sure, I mean, that's.
Well, and not only
and we.
pulling from there, but every meeting, strategic planning hosted for the community meetings, there was 3, I think initially, and 6 maybe, I don't remember. And then they did 10 last winter, and then every community meeting they have, they put out there like a sign-in sheet or whatever, and please update your mailing address and your email address and your phone number, contact information, and they were great at keeping that to be the most current, way better than the auditor or the Board of Election ever could be. So that came in very handy to keep it even more up to date than what we had before. So I'm, my slight concern, not huge, but slight, is now that committee's gone, keeping that list as
Right,
current as
and I think
possible.
that should be a topic that we discuss here, which Lindsay had some thoughts, right, on a better way to manage like email distribution lists and stuff. Wasn't there like a subscription, like a service?
oh, yeah, there's several different, like monthly payment softwares that you can get, and for monthly payment, it would be maybe like $50 or something like that. It's actually even free up until a certain point, but there's things called MailChimp, Constant Contact are two big ones.
Constant
And-
Contact's one that HTH uses.
Yeah,
and they
so-
swear by it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if they're
so-
great, so that's how you pay a monthly fee, it's usually quite small. And then you can manage your email list that way. It also gives people at the bottom of when you send emails through it. So say you wanted to send a big township update through it, it gives people ability to unsubscribe if they don't want to hear anymore and that kind of stuff. So those are benefits of those softwares.
And I think as our township continues to grow and as we hopefully continue to build out that like that might be something that makes it a lot easier to manage, because I was the one maintaining that list, and it actually was a decent amount of work. Like I would
Well,
get
I'm sure.
individual requests to be added, I had to go into the file and update it and then import those to Outlook, and then like or someone would be request to be removed, so I'd have to like update the list and then remove them from Outlook. And yeah, like it was a lot of my time was spent on that.
Oh, I'm sure. I have no
So
doubt.
it's
That's no
something that
easy
it's
feat.
kind of like a program that manages that, where
Mhm.
people can like subscribe themselves and
And
unsubscribe
unsubscribe.
themselves. And
That's
like, that
perfect,
seems
yeah.
like something that would be really great. And it even had, I think you had mentioned, it even has features that we could maybe implement in the future as things continue to grow, where you can like have different subcategories of like things that get emails on, like you can subscribe, well, I want zoning updates and I want
Yeah,
BZA updates, but I don't
Mhm.
care about parks. Well, I only care about parks, but I don't want zoning.
Right.
yeah.
Like you can check what you want to get updates on, and then if we ever get to a point where individual departments are sending email updates, it could be, tailored to
Mhm.
people who specifically want that.
Yeah, it's
So-
great.
I think that sounds something.
Yeah, my one concern, and I know a couple in township that don't have internet, don't have email, don't have,
Which-
and that's, and there's more than people out there than you can realize.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot, and that's
Yeah.
why we still do the regular mail, and that's why we have copies. And whenever we put out a new newsletter, it lays on the back table after a couple months. We've got a thing here at the back door that you can put flyers and stuff in, and I move them out there. Just because this table becomes really cluttered if you don't,
Mhm.
because a lot of people put a lot of things on it. So I put it out there, and it sits there until we put out the next one. I mean, they're always there. We always keep about 200 in office, so people can come and pick them up, and I never go through even half of that.
Oh,
So I think it's plenty to have the extra 200 for in office. So
Mhm.
whenever we send it to the printers, whatever number we come up with for the mailing, we need to have 200 extras to be sent here.
And I don't think we did this last year, because to be honest, I didn't really know that it existed, but there's like bulletin boards at the park. We should
Mhm.
probably put a copy of it in like each of the like
Mhm.
bulletin boards that are over there as well.
Are they the ones that close and lock?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's nice, protect it from the rain.
Yes, that's what I wanted to make sure, because, I mean, it's nice that they can get a hold of it and actually hold it and read it, but at the same time, you don't want it to get weather damaged if you want it.
Well, I think one of them closes but doesn't lock. I don't know about the other one.
Okay.
Or maybe it could be pinned and then just like a printed piece of paper that says, would you like a copy? Go across the street to the township office.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea, actually.
Yeah, anything like that to help our residents know, because we hear more times than not. Well, we didn't know about this. How do we get this information? And we feel like in this office that we're putting so much stuff out there in so many different places, how could it be missed?
I think that the biggest in the newsletter, I would say, here's the township website. There's a ton of information on there.
Mhm.
All the calendars are on there, all the stuff, all the
Mhm.
meetings and all that, and some people said, well, I didn't know about the meetings, like,
It's,
it's 2 clicks and it's there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
it
not,
is, and that's,
You know,
that's sad to me that, there's so many of our residents that
Yeah.
don't know where to find the information, and we have it in so many different sources. Our only social media is Facebook, simply because I run on the keep it simple theory, because I try not to be too complex. And, I know a lot of different townships and stuff, they have Twitter and Instagram, and I just keep it simple. I
Right now, we
really,
don't really have the bandwidth to do a bunch of those.
right, so I like to keep. Yeah. I personally, I don't do a whole lot of social media, so I am on the borderline of the older generation of our township, so I'm thinking, okay, there's people like me that's not gonna use a lot of the social media and stuff to get that information, but there's a lot of people here that wants it on social media.
Just do both and.
Yeah,
Everybody's cut.
Facebook's the best I could come up with.
So if you have a Facebook, like it could automatically populate to Instagram too, like since they're both.
It could.
It
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
but,
Yes.
Then you have
like-
to manage comments in both places.
yes,
Yeah.
well, and that's the other thing, I don't manage comments, I
Mhm.
really don't, because I don't have time.
Mhm.
My regular everyday duties of my job, my responsibilities are so, comprehensive that to go in there and answer questions and stuff on the Facebook page. They're better off just to email me and ask me because they'll get a much faster response.
Right.
So, cause social media is a rabbit hole, and if you get in there, you might get stuck for a long time, and,
Next thing you know, a couple hours have passed, right?
exactly, so I really don't manage a lot, and I have attended several trainings on social media for government offices, because there's certain things we are and we are not allowed to do on social media. And, so I don't, I haven't haven't had the availability for a different staff or different person to take that training to be able to pass the baton to somebody else to manage
Mhm.
the social media page. So that's,
So with me. I cannot volunteer for that.
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of shocking how much regulations there are on a township as
Yeah.
far as how to manage our communications,
Right.
so.
So I have just two more quick questions
Okay.
regarding the newsletter. So the first would be how we would like to present the fiscal information in the newsletter with that website page coming online soon. It's numbers, so it doesn't really match the other content where it's all text and pictures. Do we want to say that here's where you find it on a regular basis, or do we want to somehow include all of the actual numbers?
You're talking the financial,
Yes, the financial information.
whatever she wrote. Whatever she wrote, I
It's all numbers. It's like a
It-
chart.
copy and paste it, and that's what goes in there.
Okay,
Anybody who sends us anything. We copy, paste it, put it in there. The only thing we do to clean it up a little bit, maybe, yeah,
Like.
margins or whatever, make sure that punctuation's correct,
Yeah.
make sure, that, if there's like a double word, like
Yeah,
the,
just
or
grammar.
whatever, you know,
Yeah.
grammar stuff. We do not change what has been submitted to us, other than just the basic clean it up to fit. Okay,
okay,
we can't change it because it's been submitted by that department.
right.
Yeah, I think the only thing I did with the fire department last year was like, they kept repeating the word like Harlem Township Fire, like the whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm like, it made his write-up so much longer, I'm like, I just put in parentheses the abbreviation and like.
Yeah.
yeah. So yes, and that works.
And that's like shortened it.
Yeah.
So there'll be like a chart with numbers in this.
Yes.
newsletter.
Yes, because that's what she submitted, that's what she wants, and I am all about supporting whatever department submitted it. That's what they wanted, so that's what's gonna, other than cleaning it up just a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for the email list, there's usually a plug in the newsletter that says, would you like to receive communication via email? Do you want to keep that in there and remove all the SPC wording?
yes.
And then just say email Kendra or email Molly and to be
I
added?
think there's actually a way to add like forms on the website where they can like put in their like name, address, email and hit submit. And it will automatically like send an email to whatever you specify. So we could,
Well, be careful with that thought.
okay,
There is a way on our website to use what they call Form Builder to build forms.
Mhm.
However, everybody that uses the web developer that we use, do not use the Form Builder that comes with it because it is not, it will not format, it does not show up, it does not, it's not,
it's not.
it's not programmer friendly to get it set up for, cause you know, we're like, okay, we want it to look like this, we want it to do this, we want it to, and I've been on the phone multiple times for at length periods of times with and they're like, oh no, most of our people just buy another form builder program
Oh, okay.
from a separate place and use that to put it in.
Or like a Google form or whatever. I think that's
Yeah,
how-
we have Adobe Acrobat.
Oh, okay.
So we can create all of our forms through Adobe Acrobat, which we do, and then we tie them to the website. And usually there may be a way, and once again, I run the website. I'm not an IT person, so it comes into a little bit of a struggle for me, but I do pretty well, okay, I do okay. But there may be a way to actually get it to tie, instead of just giving them the hot link to attach the form and send it to us. There may be a way to actually get it to submit straight from. I'm not sure. I haven't played with it enough because I honestly don't have that much time in my
Well,
life.
I'm just calling this out because like, that's what I had on the strategic planning committee page, is I used that form builder and set it up where they could enter their name, address, email, hit submit. And it would send an email that came to SPC that I would then get and add into the list. So I don't think it makes sense to have that on that SPC page anymore, but I could take that same form and put it on the like
We
contact.
may be
us
talking
page.
about two different things,
Maybe.
because you have to have a password to get into form builder.
Or we're probably talking about two different things then.
So we're talking about two different
Okay,
things.
well then let me connect with you
Yes,
offline and we'll see if
yes.
we can move that like subscribe
Yes,
box. We
absolutely.
can take it off the SPC page and put it on like the contact us page
Okay.
or something.
Yeah, because I think absolutely we're talking about two different
We
things.
might, yeah, because if you, it was not something I needed a password for. so-
Okay, perfect. Yes, we could. And
Okay,
I'm wondering, and I know this is on a totally different subject, but we might want to figure out futuristically with the trustees, what we might want to do with the strategic planning page. I want to leave it up for a while,
Yeah,
obviously. But we can't necessarily delete things, but we might want to move it to
Done.
someplace else and, because,
or call it something different, like call it economic development page or.
yes,
Yeah.
well, you know what?
Repurpose it.
Actually, you're a genius. Because
Okay,
I had just talked to the zoning department about creating an economic development page.
so maybe a lot of that content could.
Could
move
transfer over.
Yeah, okay.
You're a genius. So,
That's what we had to do.
and that's why I'm here doing this, because I get to say you're a genius. I didn't have to think of it.
So yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think another thought we had was, so we're gonna want to maintain the distribution list, keep growing that through, but not through the SPC. We need another email to send stuff from, other than SPC at Harlem TWP.
I can change, yeah, I can do groups like that
Okay.
without a problem. I can create a group email like I did for strategic planning.
Okay.
And have it linked to, say all of us want to be in it and see everything that comes and goes from communication committee.
Yeah.
I can make a
So what do we wanna call that, like, then? Whatever email we're gonna use to send out the newsletters.
that will have to actually,
Would it be like info@harlemtownship.com or something like that?
actually,
You're already at it.
I am admin. Let me think on that. Because I don't want it to come into somebody's email box and be spam, because it says info@Harlemtown.
Yeah.
That is an info thing is usually a flag to go into a spam folder. So we don't want that to just kick to a spam folder, because my spam folder, I have it set up to where it automatically deletes. I never see anything that goes into
Yeah.
a spam folder. Because let me tell you that nobody has that much time in their life, because I get like 250 spams a day at least. And I'm like, I ain't going through it. So,
So maybe not info, but like, we need something other than SPC.
right, exactly.
And I think I had even mentioned that in one of my last updates that I sent to the SPC distribution.
I did see
I
that.
said something like, in the future, emails may come from a different, address, but we will keep you posted or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
We just have to change it to something that's more,
Communications might even be appropriate.
it might be, I'm gonna ask Carl
What do you know?
because I know he was the trustee representative for strategic planning committee.
Mhm.
And see if he has a thought or, like if he says, oh yeah, communications at whatever is fine. If he's okay with that, then typically, since it's something that was be changed from strategic planning to something else and being repurposed, then I can take it to Dave and Dave can give his input or his opinion. But since Carl was the trustee representative on it, he might have a thought or input as to what it may be changed to instead of strategic plan.
Okay,
Um,
and hopefully whatever is decided, that could be kind of something quick to implement with your IT.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it takes like 2 minutes. I mean, yeah. There are certain things that we can get done very quickly, and there's other things that I sit on forever because it's not an easy process, and so I put it off, which is not good. All right, does anybody have anything else? All right, so I've got my marching orders on trustees, on cemetery and admin to get emailed out. I've got to get Mike Cannon on the zoning department stuff, and Keith now knows about BZA, sorry,
Can we,
Keith.
In that, well, I write you up to explain how the BZA works a little bit.
However you wanna write it up, if you wanna do that, that'd be great.
Because, I don't think they understand, what BZA doesn't, we don't write the zoning.
Right,
We
yeah.
we just, as a BCA, we are quasi judicial part, we interpret the language to, as the zoning resolution says we can.
right,
So when there needs to be an exception in a zoning because of hardship, well, then we can make the exception. But we don't write the zoning or change zoning, whatever zoned is zoned,
right,
but we interpret zoning to meet individual circumstances, so. And I probably need to put that in there somehow so they understand
yeah,
what we actually do, because,
absolutely, that'd be great.
it's not like the zoning commission, which actually writes the zoning to do recommendations to the trustees, it's kind of different.
Right.
We don't even answer the trustees,
That's true, that is true. So, yeah, if you wanna add that in your write-up or whatever, however you wanna do it, that's
Okay.
perfect. If you just email it to me, then I just, send it over to Molly and Lindsay and like, okay, here's your next one, this is from BZA, this one's from whoever, and they actually can input it
I
in.
try to keep it as small as they can, but I still get as much information as they can,
No, that'd be good. And with that in mind, that point, I know that we said, we kind of have 2 extra pages because strategic planning didn't have as much to put in, so doing the infrastructure and some of this other ideas, but that will take up space really quick.
Yeah, it'll fill it
It'll
yeah.
fast if
Yeah.
we're not conscientious of what we're doing. So, I think a lot of these, they're all very good ideas, but yeah, we just have to be mindful of our space as we're doing it.
Yeah, and I had to play around with font sizes and like
Yeah.
margins and like pick
Yeah.
photo sizes
Yeah.
and. like,
Which
all
is
that.
which is absolutely what I did too. Now, I will also say last year, Molly updated, but she ran it through me, said, what do you think about this? I'm like, that's awesome. You're great, you're a genius. But she updated the heading at the top of our newsletter. There had been some, original questions about maybe updating the layout of our newsletter. Or the heading or whatever, as we modernize it and move forward. I'm all about modernizing it. I think we need to do it gradually and slowly instead of just hitting our residents with something completely brand new and different, because a lot of times somebody gets used to something and they want to see the old familiar, what they're used to.
Yeah.
So we like to gradually transition things over. And so with that in mind, we did the header last year. And I think it looks so much better than what it did before. Matter of fact, I have now implemented it to being the 2024
Like for.
letterhead
form
for,
and stuff,
we're starting to transition all that over for our letterhead. So, because I like it so much better. But if we have ideas on maybe changing the layout or whatever, we might want to keep that in mind and put it in our bank for the next newsletter and do a little bit
at a time.
Yeah, and I'm no graphic designer, so they're.
Neither am I.
Especially
More improvements.
If we can maybe add a couple of new things like the Harlan Township Heritage, like that's already new things.
Right,
So,
right.
We already got our new things covered.
Exactly,
For right
exactly.
now.
We don't want to bulldoze them with all this new stuff. And, you know, they might respond very well and be like, oh, we really like all these changes. But we don't want to overwhelm them.
Yeah.
So.
And you're probably less likely to get stuff thrown in the trash if it changes what it looks like. everywhere.
Yeah. Darlene, do you have an email? Would you like to be emailed as we're emailing back and forth the stuff that's going in to the new newsletter?
That'd be great.
Okay,
I can just write it down.
I was gonna say, if you want to write it down and give it to me, or you can write it on this paper or whatever before you leave. That way I can make sure I have it to include you.
11:30.
Yeah, I didn't really think this was gonna go quite this long. I was thinking an hour, but
It's a discussion.
yeah, it's been a good, yeah. I do not know when. I don't know that we would have another meeting before the newsletter goes out. I think this face-to-face was good to get us up to speed and get us where we need to be, so we can get this information and we can do the rest through email.
Yeah.
And then we can get it to the trustees so they can review it before it goes to print.
For their next trustee meeting, do we want to add on their agenda item something about the like constant contact option? Would that be something they would have to? approve?
I would need, they would not necessarily need to approve it.
Okay.
They approved a budget
Well, that's true.
for communications.
And since we're not gonna be sending a monthly newsletter as we.
We don't,
Access budget.
yeah, they gave us $19,000,
Yeah.
which we're not even gonna come close to spending, because one newsletter, we're thinking, $2,500 to $3,000.
Yeah.
The second one, $2,500 to $3,000, we're at $6,000 for the year, not
That 19,000
19,000.
was assuming it was monthly. because they
Exactly.
Assumed that there would be a lot of updates coming. back.
Exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly.
In that
So
case, if that's something just internally this committee wants to move forward with. then-
I would need, what I need is quotes on what the cost would be. So I could, in all good conscience, make a good decision based on the taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
Do you have a threshold of where you can just give a contract to somebody without going out for procurement or?
Yes,
Okay. So
Yes.
I bet you it'll totally be within that too.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, there's a couple different ways that the thresholds work, but, if it's under.
don't know.
It's way lower than that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
But-
know the-
Well, if it's a credit card purchase, it's gotta be under $2,500.
Yeah, I think.
And if it's like a contract or whatever,
Mhm.
I can do one-time purchases, say, I just bought an office chair. It was under $450, so I could just buy it because it's part of our operating
Yes,
expense.
exactly.
So
That's what I
this
was
would be
talking
like
about.
under part of our operating expense, and we've already got an approved budget, so I can do it without having to go back.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's ways. to-
But I like to, in good conscience, like to see what it's gonna cost before I say, okay, can we take this to a
Okay,
vote?
okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And, So-
Interviewing Jerry.
Yes, I'll interview Jerry.
Great.
I will do that ASAP
Sounds awesome.
and then just get you a write up for that.
yeah, I would,
Make sure.
and yeah, I was gonna say, and I may have an old picture on file from where he was on the website, but if you wanna get a current one,
I'll ask him what he wants.
yeah, ask him.
As a
you know,
courtesy, yeah.
He's usually kind of bashful about it. He's like, what?
Yeah.
I don't see him going, yes, I want a new picture.
Yeah.
But I think I still have the one on the computer from where he was just trustee and he retired, so
Okay.
we could potentially
I'll
use
just ask
that.
him
Yeah.
What he prefers.
And
Yeah.
Molly's providing a final SBC update.
Yes, so I'll type something up and include that, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's-
will you do the infrastructure with the SBC update or
Jim might be better to write. that
Jim?
up,
Okay, I'll ask Jim.
Or.
That's what, okay, I'll ask Jim.
I don't remember who provided most of that last.
I think it was Jim. That's why I kind of thought it was gonna fall under zoning,
I
because
think it
he
was
does
Jim and
the,
Tom, But yeah.
yeah, I can talk to Jim and see.
And
about-
Kendra, are you okay if I pull these emails and like copy from Harlan Township Heritage website and say, hi, copy Kendra, we're working on a newsletter for Harlan Township. We're wondering, are you okay if I go ahead and do that?
I would like for you to do that,
Okay.
and if you could get the information on constant contact.
Sure.
That would be I think maybe you seem to have more information on that. I don't know, maybe other people do, but I don't. So I
It's
know,
like her background is.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
yeah, right. So that's what I kind of thought maybe. And are we missing anything else? The little library and the what's that? Pantry.
Yeah. Shoot, I forget they have a name.
Yeah, I know they do, and I went blank too. That's why I was.
Yeah, my mind blanking. on it.
And who was gonna were,
Well, the one photo we can snag from the Facebook.
I would say
page.
there's a couple of pictures on the Facebook page, one with the empty and one after it was full. So we could get the pictures from there and we can do the write-up from
It's
there.
a blessings box.
That's right,
Blessing
blessing
box, that's it.
I knew that, but I mind blanked on it.
Mine did too.
I looked and then I forgot, and then I just looked again.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so is there anything else that we need to make sure somebody's covering so we don't drop it?
I'll run over there, I'll get a picture of the library, and then I might snap a couple of the picnic tables while I'm over there.
Be good.
And we'll just see what we have room for.
And there's the recycle bin trash can thing that it's
It
a,
looks new.
Yeah.
yeah. And it's not an old fertilizer tank. It is a
Oh, okay.
trash cans and stuff at the park had been what one of our local farmers or a couple of our local farmers used on their farm, and they cut the tops off of them.
Oh.
They were big blue like
Yeah.
cans, plastic cans, and they took like white paint and just wrote Harlem Township on the side of them. And so I know where that started from. I'm not gonna say anything more about that. But they've worked really well for all these years. It's the same thing we have up in our cemeteries, but you know, it's time to clean up and update. And I think those recycle bin trash can combo that we got is a perfect way to start
Mhm.
to do that. So,
I'll disappoint you, I'll get. Like we say stuff done, but I probably won't be back with him on this.
okay.
I don't have time to.
And I get that. I get that. And that's
I,
what,
I really wanted just to be sure. And observe how this committee was gonna form and stuff. In fact, I talked to Jerry Paul about that, and he said he thought it'd be a good idea if they just came and said anything was going on. So-
Yeah.
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 So.
yeah, no, we absolutely appreciate you coming and sitting in and,
Mhm.
But you guys got it.
Basically, we're just Kendra's extension.
Yeah.
like those are gadget arms.
I mean, I don't know how she does her day-to-day jobs.
Yeah.
As it is, but it is a whole lot for one person to do.
Uh-huh.
She
Sounds
runs
like
the whole
it.
township, basically, what she does.
Yep.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but.
You do.
No.
You know.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm gonna turn off the Zoom and I think we're good to
There you
close
go.
this meeting for today.
Nice to meet everybody.
Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, just let me know what I can do. I know I'm the new one. So.
Oh, well, you
It's all new.
It's all new.
Whatever, yeah.
It's all new, so yeah.
Sounds good. All right, I'll see everybody later.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
See ya.
Everybody have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Lindsay. Really appreciate, I have less bandwidth than I did last year, so I'm glad you're